Hi all, how are you? I hope you all are doing well. I'm doing good as well. I know it's been kind of another week since we have met. I hope you missed me. I missed you all. And how was your week? And what's the plan for the long weekend? I'll be mostly staying back home. I'll have some good rest. I have been trying to record for you guys, but it's been difficult. Sometimes I'm not vibing with whatever I have recorded, or sometimes I'm just not getting time. I have been procrastinating since past few days, and I'm sleeping with a guilty heart, and I don't want to do that anymore. So here I am again. I am a bit tired right now, but I really missed recording for you guys. So let's dive into another chapter with Morrie. Tuesdays with Morrie. But before that, recap. He closed his eyes, shook his head. My tank is almost empty. I tapped my thighs nervously. That was enough for one afternoon. Come back and see your old professor, Morrie said when I hugged him goodbye. I promised I would, and I tried not to think about the last time I promised this. Welcome back from the recap. I hope you have refreshed your memory with that. And without further ado, let's dive in. Chapter 7. Taking Attendance. I flew to London a few weeks later. I was covering Wimbledon, the world's premier tennis competition, and one of the few events I go to where the crowd never boos, no one is drunk in the parking lot. England was warm and cloudy, and each morning I walked the tree-lined streets near the tennis courts, passing teenagers queued up for leftover tickets, and vendors selling strawberries and cream. Outside the gate was a newsstand that sold a half dozen colorful British tabloids, featuring photos of topless women, paparazzi pictures of the royal family, horoscopes, sports, lottery contest, and a wee bit of actual news. The top headline of the day was written on a small chalkboard that leaned against the latest stack of papers and usually read something like Diana in row with Charles or Gaza to team, give me millions. People scooped up these tabloids, devoured their gossip, and on previous trips to England, I had always done the same. But now, for some reason, I found myself thinking about Morrie whenever I read anything silly or mindless. I kept picturing him there in the house with the Japanese maple and the hardwood floors, counting his breath, squeezing out every moment with his loved ones, while I spent so many hours on things that meant absolutely nothing to me personally. Movie stars, supermodels, and the latest noise out of Princess Di or Madonna or JF Kennedy Jr. In a strange way, I envied the quality of Morrie's time, even as I lamented its diminishing supply. Why did we bother with all the distractions we did? Back home, the O.J. Simpson trial was in full swing, and there were people who surrendered their entire lunch hours watching it, then taped the rest so they could watch more at night. This kind of did remind me of the Amber Dip court case. Although I'm happy that Depp won. They didn't know O.J. Simpson. They didn't know anyone involved in the case. Yet they gave up days and weeks of their lives addicted to someone else's drama. I remembered what Morrie said during our visit. The culture we have does not make people feel good about themselves. And you have to be strong enough to say, if the culture doesn't work, don't buy it. Morrie, true to these words, had developed his own culture long before he got sick. Discussion groups, walk with friends, dancing to his music in the Harvard Square church. He started a project called Greenhouse where poor people could receive mental health services. I'm loving Morrie even more now. He read books to find new ideas for his classes, visited with colleagues, kept up with old students, wrote letters to distant friends. He took more time eating and looking at nature and wasted no time in front of TV, sitcoms, or movies of the week. He had created a cocoon of human activities, conversation, interaction, affection, and it filled his life like an overflowing soup bowl. I had also developed my own culture, work. I did 4 or 5 media jobs in England, juggling them like a clown. I spent 8 hours a day on a computer, feeding my stories back to the States. Then I did TV pieces, traveling with a crew throughout parts of London. I also phoned in radio reports every morning and afternoon. This was not an abnormal load. Over the years, I had taken labor as my companion and had moved everything else to the side. Or shall I say, suppressed everything else deep down within. In Wimbledon, I ate meals at my little wooden work cubicle and thought nothing of it. On one particularly crazy day, a crush of reporters had tried to chase down Andre Agassi and his famous girlfriend Brooke Shields, and I had gotten knocked over by a British photographer who barely muttered sorry before sweeping past, his huge metal lenses strapped around his neck. I thought of something else. Morrie had told me. So many people walk around with a meaningless life. They seem half asleep even when they are busy doing things they think are important. This is because they are chasing the wrong things. The way you get meaning into your life is to devote yourself to loving others, devote yourself to your community around you, and devote yourself to creating something that gives you purpose and meaning. I knew he was right. Honestly, no offense to Morrie here, I do understand why he said all that he said here. But I would also like to add that in trying to achieve anything that is told to us by others, be it chasing after things that are wrong, that doesn't make any sense to you, that you do not actually care about, or even doing things like, you try to find the meaning of life by devoting yourself to loving others, caring for others, and your community around, trying to give people so much. We tend to forget ourselves. We tend to lose ourselves. So I have learned that you can just give and give and give and give and give, but if you are doing it out of a sense of unworthiness because you don't feel worthy enough to have love in your life or to be loved for who you are, or just to fill up your life with something where you can finally put a label of, oh, this makes me worthy of who I am. This is such a coincidence. I got I love watching animated movies. I know this is kind of a rant and it's gonna be a bit long, so kindly bear with me here. I tend to rewatch my comfort movies, usually animated ones, and today specifically I felt called to watch Encanto again. And each and every character, if you have watched that movie, each and every character in that movie, they are just trying so hard. I mean, to give a gist, I might be giving out spoilers here, so please, if you don't want to listen to the spoilers, please skip forward and then watch the movie and then come back. But each and every character in that movie, they have like, it's a magical movie. Like there is a family whose members are given magical powers, and it's a whole miracle thing. And they are trying so hard to be worthy of that magic, to feel worthy, just because the main character, the grandmother of the family who was actually originally given the miracle, is so scared to lose the miracle because she was given. She didn't feel like she had to, like, she didn't feel worthy enough to have it. She feels like we have to earn our miracles. There is specifically a line of earning the miracle in a song there. So, which is why she was just holding on tight to it out of fear that if she doesn't feel worthy enough of the miracle, then they will lose the miracle. And for accomplishing that, what was she doing? She was just, she was just tight-roping each and every member of the family. You need to be perfect. This needs to be perfect. You need to be a certain way. You need to fit in her frame of perfection. It's an amazing movie, which will eventually tell you that you are the miracle. Okay, I'll leave it there. No more spoilers, no more rants, no more discussion. I mean, yes, we can have the discussions. Please fill in the comments. We love to have the discussion on this. But yeah, let's continue with the chapter. I think I might need to need to give you another recap of whatever sentence that I was reading. So, going back, I thought of something else Morrie had told me. So many people walk around with a meaningless life. They seem half asleep, even when they are busy doing things they think are important. This is because they are chasing the wrong things. The way you get meaning into your life is to devote yourself to loving others, devote yourself to your community around you, and devote yourself to creating something that gives you purpose and meaning. I knew he was right. Not that I did anything about it. At the end of the tournament, and the countless cups of coffee I drank to get through it, I closed my computer, cleaned out my cubicle, and went back to the apartment to pack. It was late. The TV was nothing but fuzz. I flew to Detroit, arrived late in the afternoon, dragged myself home, and went to sleep. I woke to a jolting piece of news. The unions at my newspaper had gone on strike. The place was shut down. There were picketers at the front entrance and marchers chanting up and down the street. As a member of the union, I had no choice. I was suddenly, and for the first time in my life, out of a job, out of a paycheck, and pitted against my employers. Union leaders called my home and warned me against any contact with my former editors, many of whom were my friends, telling me to hang up if they tried to call and plead their case. We are going to fight until we win. The union leaders swore, sounding like soldiers. I felt confused and depressed. Although the TV and radio work were nice supplements, the newspapers had been my lifeline, my oxygen. When I saw my stories in print in each morning, I knew that, in at least one way, I was alive. Now, it was gone. And as the strike continued, the first day, the second day, the third day, there were worried phone calls and rumors that this could go on for months. Everything I had known was upside down. There were sporting events each night that I would have gone to cover. Instead, I stayed home, watched them on TV. I had grown used to thinking readers somehow needed my column. Our need to feel important. Remember, even Morrie had this? Even Morrie thought this when he discovered that he had ALS. He stepped out of the hospital and he was thinking, why is the world still functioning? How is the world still functioning? Why they are not in shock? Just because he is. After a week of this, I picked up the phone and dialed Morrie's number. Connie brought him to the phone. "You're coming to visit me," he said, less a question than a statement. Well, could I? How about Tuesday? Tuesday would be good, I said. Tuesday would be fine. In my sophomore year, I take 2 more of his courses. We go beyond the classroom, meeting now and then just to talk. I have never done this before with an adult who was not a relative, yet I feel comfortable doing it with Morrie, and he seems comfortable making the time. Where shall we visit today? He asks cheerily when I enter his office. In the spring, we sit under a tree outside the sociology building, and in the winter, we sit by his desk, me in my grey sweatshirts and Adidas sneakers, Morrie in Rockport shoes and corduroy pants. Each time we talk, he listens to me ramble. Then he tries to pass on some sort of life lesson. He warns me that money is not the most important thing, contrary to the popular view on campus. He tells me I need to be fully human. He speaks of the alienation of youth and the need for connectedness with the society around me. Some of these things I understand, some I do not. It makes no difference. The discussions give me an excuse to talk to him. Fatherly conversations I cannot have with my own father, who would like me to be a lawyer. The way we try to fill in our voids. Morrie hates lawyers. What do you want to do when you get out of college? He asks. I want to be a musician, I say, piano player. Wonderful, he says, but that's a hard life. Yeah, a lot of shocks. That's what I hear. Still, he says, if you really want it, then you will make your dream happen. I want to hug him, to thank him for saying that, but I'm not that open, and I only nod instead. I'll bet you play piano with a lot of pep, he says. I laugh. Pep? He laughs back. Pep, what's the matter? They don't say that anymore? That's all for today. See you in the next chapter. Take care.